Tony D and Little Joan with a screenwriter's rant on three movies whose trailers I kind of sort of barely understand. And they're all teasers. First, there's Toaster. This is a Bollywood film. Then there's Hurry Up Tomorrow, a new movie with Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan. And finally, there is the Fantastic Four First Step. Smash a like and subscribe. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Check out my books. The links are in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys. Books 1 through 16. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. So, let's go with the Bollywood one. It's called Toaster. And even though I don't speak the language, I can kind of glean what the plot is about. It's about a very cheap guy, and he gets invited to a wedding, and he buys the bride and groom a toaster. But he gets a great deal on it, but he still spends a decent amount of money, I think. And he's so excited to try to impress that he bought him a good gift. Like even here, there's a scene where they take a picture, and he's giving him the toaster. But then he finds out that the bride and groom broke up, or I don't know, the marriage didn't happen. I'm not quite sure. And now he wants the toaster back because he thinks that since they didn't get married, and there's a montage of him bragging about the price of the toaster, and it goes higher and higher every time he does it. So now he wants the toaster back, and of course his wife is just horrified. And then he has nightmares about it, and eventually he goes to ask for the toaster back. And I'm not sure if the bride broke up with the groom. I think that's the groom, or maybe she died. I don't know. And he's trying to get the toaster back, but nobody wants to give it back. And then he's like, what happened to the toaster? And then I think, I don't know, one of his relatives ends up with the toaster, and he feels that he has to get the toaster back or get his money back somehow. And I guess he gets it back, or he gets back another toaster and then tries to pass it off as the old toaster. I'm not quite sure. But it looks kind of funny. It looks like a kind of funny premise. I hope they do an English dub of it. But I'm not totally up on how much a rupee is. But he spent like 5,000 rupees on the toaster. So it looks decent. Maybe I would watch it. So first act, he's cheap. He buys the toaster for the wedding gift. Goes to the wedding. Second act, the bride and groom, for whatever reason, aren't married anymore. He can't get past it. He tries to get the toaster back. And I think he spends the majority of the second act trying to get the toaster back. And in the process, ruining all his familiar relationships, I think. And then in the third act, I think he probably gets the toaster back, but then realizes, loses almost everything else, and then realizes he shouldn't be cheap anymore, perhaps. All right, the second movie is called Hurry Up Tomorrow, and this one's so confusing. I really don't know what it's about. Jenna Ortega is in it. I read the write-up on it. I still am a little unclear on what it's about. But I think The Weeknd, who plays that dude, is a famous singer. But then he ends up in he ends up in an alternate world where nobody's around except Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan. Maybe? I'm not sure. I can't really tell you. It's very confusing. I have a feeling this is a movie built around writers Trey Edward Schultz, Abel Tesfaye, and Reza Fahim. Directed by Trey Edward Schultz. Hurry Up Tomorrow. I'm really not sure what it's about. There's a lot of images here. Not a lot of dialogue. I don't think there's any dialogue in the trailer, actually. So, Hurry Up Tomorrow. An insomniac musician encounters a mysterious stranger leading on a journey that challenges everything he knows about himself. Yeah, it sounds pretty pretentious to me. Um, I think they're pushing this as some sort of artsy fartsy thing. I don't know what it's about. I, First act, he's a famous musician, meets up with some strange woman, Jenna Ortega. Second act, he wakes up in another world and everybody's gone, and Baron Keoghan is the bad guy, maybe, and then he has to get back to his own world, or he's having hallucinations. I don't know. I mean, if you make a trailer so obtuse, I can't even figure out what the hell it's about. I don't know if it's supposed to be scary or fun, or it's definitely not supposed to be fun, I think, or serious. I like this is the danger of putting, I think, non-actors in leads. You know, their range tends to be limited. They tend to want to do, and it's not that the guy isn't creative. I'm sure he is in music, but just because you have ideas doesn't mean it'll be a coherent plot structure that people will want to see in a movie. Now, maybe he has enough fans, enough people will go, but I'm out. Despite Jenna Ortega and Barry Keoghan's presence. Now, this is just a trailer. Maybe they'll put together something more coherent later, but I am out. And finally, the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is a movie I've already complained about, but I'm a big fan of Kirby and the Fantastic Four, and this, you know, I agree with Doomcock's assessment over at the WDW Pro, that this just isn't the Fantastic Four. I mean, Ben Grimm looks okay. It looks weird in the suit. His voice, you know, you expect like a thick New York accent. Not really hearing it. Sue Storm, nah. And she already sounds a little bossy. I suspect she's in charge of the team. Pedro Pascal taking a back seat, probably. The design is cool. The look is cool. But this is something that's easy to copy. Johnny Storm seems okayish. I mean, the look of it's fine. It's got kind of a Fallout feel. The look of Galactus looks good. I just don't feel the vibe that the comic had. The comic was breathless. Absolutely breathless. John Malkovich is in it. I'm not sure who he plays. But the comic book was a soap opera that was as fast-paced as you could possibly imagine. Everything ended on a cliffhanger. And Kirby was the king for a reason. They call him Kirby the King for a reason. I defy you to read any other American superhero comic and compare it to Kirby's run on the Fantastic Four and tell me what's better. The first time I read a Kirby Fantastic Four, and I'm not old enough to have read it when it come out, but many years later, like sometime in the 90s, I picked one up in a random box of comics I bought, and I said, "Oh, let me check this out." And I was really impressed. I mean, it's really good. It's really good. Ever since then, you know, Hollywood's been trying to capture that, and I don't think they can. Not in a movie. Maybe in a TV show. If they had done a TV show, maybe they could have done it on Disney Plus and then maybe eased it into a movie. But Pedro Pascal just isn't Mr. Fantastic. He's the wrong look. He shouldn't have a mustache. Numero uno. At the very least, shave his mustache. Then maybe you could have gotten away with it. But he is like Mr. Fantastic is supposed to be. And Stephen Colbert did a parody of him on what's the name? The Venture Brothers. That was pretty spot on. You know, the most whitest white man you could possibly imagine. Not not someone like Pedro. Pedro is just Pedro. He's kind of the same in every movie and TV show he's in. Um, but for this, I think he's wrong. Ben Grimm is built in CGI, so it's fine. Sue Storm, probably too old, probably not hot enough, and I strongly suspect she's going to be bossing everybody around. Johnny Storm seems fine. There's not really much in this teaser trailer. What is this movie going to be? First act, um, the Fantastic Four is awesome, and they've got a, they introduce them as, um, you know, they're already established. They already had the accident. They already got their superpowers. They have this amazing building, and Reed keeps building these amazing things, and they go on adventures. And then it's going to be the Galactus story, which is the biggest story, which is the one they should pick for a movie. But they've tried this 2 or 3 times, and they've never gotten it right. I suspect they won't get it right here. Maybe, kind of, sort of. At the end of the movie, and maybe somewhere in the middle too, you'll get a mention that Galactus not only eats worlds of this dimension but of other dimensions too, and that'll probably spark Reed to open a portal into the next universe, and that will be the MCU we've been following, and then the Fantastic Four will probably end the movie arriving in New York and meeting like Doctor Strange, played by Benedict Cumberbatch or something. And that's going to lead to, this somehow segue into Doctor Doom and the Secret Wars. Or perhaps that Doctor Doom will be in it, and he will, in the battle, fall into a portal that the Fantastic Four then chase him through or something. Something like that. It's going to segue into the regular MCU, and the Fantastic Four will be the guys who are fishes out of water. They will exist in a different New York and then come to our New York and do stuff. Which isn't the worst idea I've heard, because then you don't have to explain why, they're really a product of their time, the early to mid 60s. And but will they even be portrayed anywhere close to, that's a perfect opportunity to make them as based as people in the early 60s were, but we'll see. I kind of doubt it. I kind of think we're headed for a divorce between Sue and Reed, or Sue just bosses everybody around, and it'll be no bueno. But it's hard to tell from the trailer. So, yeah, I'm not really stoked for this. It just doesn't have the energy. It has less energy than the other versions of the Fantastic Four, quite frankly. All right, so what am I looking at? Okay, so Fantastic Four, Hurry Up Tomorrow. I like the title. That's about the only thing I like. And Toaster. Well, at the bottom, I got to say Hurry Up Tomorrow, because it just looks boring, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. It might be good, but how the hell would I know from this trailer? I'm not a huge fan of The Weeknd. I don't really know his deal. Jenna Ortega is fine. I think Barry Keoghan's a very good actor. He's amazing in The Banshees of Inisherin, but that doesn't mean anything in a big Hollywood production. And this feels already overblown, so I put that on the bottom. Second would be Fantastic Four. It can't help but at least be mildly interesting, because Kirby is that good. But, I don't have any confidence in Disney anymore to produce anything good. I think this will be, another half-ass attempt at trying to modernize something they probably shouldn't modernize. And, it's already a property that's really difficult to present to people. They've had problems with it for years. This is sort of like Dune. Dune was another property that was like that for many years. Will this finally be the one that makes it? We'll see. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be panned by the fans. The institutional momentum is very much against Disney now, and now they have to fight against that. And I don't think they're prepared for that at all. I think they're just going to get, they won't know what to do at some point, because generally their stuff is just bad. And finally, the toaster. I like the toaster. I think it's fun and funny. Hold on, let me get this. I gotta go. Let me just say. Let me just give him one sec. Okay. The toaster looks great. I think it can work. It looks funny in the trailer. The context matters, and the context on the toaster is on point. So I would totally see this. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D and Little Joan. I got to take this call. We'll see you tomorrow.